What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. I see Katie Taylor in the chat. She says, good morning. It's going to be a good morning. It's going to be a good afternoon. It's going to be a good late afternoon because we got the Early Edge right now with incredible guests, incredible analysts, and all of you. At 2 o'clock, we have the MLB live betting stream. We've got most of our MLB guys on that one. Then, of course, at 4 o'clock, it's me and Mike McClure for the Wyndham Championship live chat. But let's get to the here and now. Let's get to the recap screen and see how we did yesterday. 4-2. Now, we got the Royals doubled up win here. It's rare, but we had two guys with the same pick. We get 2 check marks for that. Just don't forget, if we lost that one, it would be 2 X's, right? But we go 4-2. Even if you consolidate those 2 picks, it's still a winning day. Shout out to Mackenzie. Valkyries win that game outright at +8.5 because she goes 1 for 2, and Buckets hits his play. He goes 1 for 2 as well. Let's bring in the stars of the show. Maybe we can improve off of 4-2 with, let's see, we got Taft, Gantt, we got PropStarz, we got Calvin Wetzel, we got Amags. Amags, I have to start with you. We are very excited today at 2 o'clock. We've got so many games that are just colliding. We've got games that start before 2. We got games that start at 2:10, games that will start in the middle of our live stream. I think 7 in total that we'll be able to react to. Excited?
Yeah, this is awesome. As you mentioned, we're going to have some of those like noon, 12:30, at least East Coast time, 1 o'clock games, kind of lay right into the 2 o'clock. So I'm excited for it. And I have to at least give a quick shout out here, Sia. I'm wearing the Yankees hat. It's not for my pick. I have to give him a little shout out, but a shout out to Cody Bellinger, who now joins Pete Crow Armstrong, and each of them are only 1 home run and 1 stolen base away from cashing our early season player prop futures. So, another home run for Bellinger last night. That's certainly exciting.
Love this marquee here. Early Edge Day baseball betting stream.
You got to get a new photo of me.
Yeah, well, listen, we got to pull some more photos. Hey, you can send some in, Amags, and just kind of set the stage, cheat a little bit, and pretend you're reacting to something, but you love the picture and you send it in to Ben. PropStarz, we're talking about futures, and we're talking about Amags trying to cash some of his futures. You came to the show with an NFL future, did you not?
I did indeed, Sia, in addition to a MLB prop as well. So, yeah, I'm all cylinders firing right now with NFL. Love all these futures picks that I've been putting out in the SportsLine Discord. Super worthwhile to be in there. So much great information shared. So, yeah, we're all systems go.
All right. Taft, Gantt, you were all systems go last time you were on here, and so was the chat, as they were saying, like they were doing the looks like thing with Taft, Gantt, which was pretty incredible. With that said, you did really well when you were on here, and you hit, I think, 2 out of 3, and the one you missed was like an outright, if I remember correctly, yeah. And you hit 2 pretty big plus money plays. Did you come back with some Wyndham Championship plays?
Oh, see, we are back and loaded with some Wyndham Championship picks. If you're not betting on the Wyndham Championship, you are missing out as a golf bettor. So we're coming locked and loaded today for the Wyndham Championship.
I mean, the truth is, people don't understand how fun, like, even if you don't enjoy the sport of golf in terms of, like, you never were really interested in it on TV, because, like, let's be honest, Taft, it's kind of a niche sport compared to the NFL and the NBA and MLB. But once you realize how fun just the betting part of golf can be, then suddenly you become invested in the sport itself. And that's honestly what my path was many, many, many years ago. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so fun to bet. And then I just started getting into golf. Your reaction to that, Taft?
Yeah, I agree. And in July and August, the dreary months of the sports calendar, golf is what gets me through my weekends and my weekdays. When I can turn on a Sunday afternoon and see if my bets are going to hit. I don't know what else I would do with my time until football season rolls back around.
I hear you. Sox Nation says, Amags, stay hot, bud. Been cashing with you on the site. Calvin Wetzel, people have been cashing with you for years on the WNBA. I assume you're coming with a WNBA pick, but what's going on with the hat? I can't tell. Is that a Cubs hat?
It is, yeah. Amags is talking about all the day baseball today. I'm in a hotel room, as you can tell. This is why my lighting is terrible. I'm in Milwaukee. I'm going to be at one of those day baseball games, Cubs versus Brewers, and everyone who's saying in the chat, like, why is it Calvin wearing a cool shirt? Because I had to wear a Cubs shirt too. It's not on the camera, but I have to have my Cubs gear on today.
That's for producer Ben. Amags, go ahead.
So real quick, if you want, Calvin, I'm going to give this out on the 2:00 show, but I'll give it to you and everyone else right now. Seiya Suzuki, who strike out in his first plate appearance today, plus 190 on DraftKings.
Wow. That is amazing. Sia Suzuki. Ben, go ahead. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Cubs at. By the way, we have the Fantasy Football Today account in the chat as well. We still have time. I think today might be the last day, or either today or tomorrow. I think it might be today, where you can share your bet on the early edge just by bidding on, I think maybe we dropped the link in the chat. Just by bidding, you can join this show and be a part of this team and drop a pick. Well, we'll have you on the show for not just for your pick, but for a decent amount of the show. I think we've had maybe 1 or 2 bids up there, but there's plenty of time to share your pick just by bidding. And again, all proceeds go to St. Jude. Hopefully we've dropped the link in the chat as well. That'll be super helpful. But I know most of you are doing all of this stuff, including voting for the early edge for best podcast. You have 2 days to vote for that as well. Podcastawards.com. All right, we got to get to some picks. We're already 5-6 minutes through the show. Let's go to Calvin. Calvin, this is an interesting pick. It's an unexpected pick. It's a we're going to cash immediately or not pick. Talk to me about your WNBA play.
Yeah, I haven't done one of these first score, first basket type of bets on this show yet this year. So it felt like it was time. Liberty to score first is minus 118 right now on FanDuel against the Lynx. This is somehow, it's almost the end of July, the first matchup between the Liberty and the Lynx all year. The top 2 teams finals rematch and potentially a finals preview again. So had to have some bet on this game. And obviously Lynx favored by 7. They have advantage on both sides, especially without Breanna Stewart for the Liberty, and the Lynx are the better team. They're at home. But the team that wins the jump ball scores first over 64% of the time. Jonquel Jones, 66% career in her jump ball. Alana Smith, 32%. It's really not even close. And last season against the Lynx, Jonquel went 4-0 in the regular season in jump balls. Liberty scored first all 4 times. In the finals, 3-2 on jump balls. Liberty scored first 3 of those 5. So it was 7 out of 9. Overall, I think minus 118 is a great price. I would have this more like minus 145, minus 150. So like you said, it's a really fun bet. You get it out of the way in the first 30 seconds, maybe a minute. It's one of those quick sweats, but I love Liberty score first, minus 118.
All right. And if you have more WNBA questions, Calvin is here to answer them. Let's transition. And by the way, the SportsLine account is like, this is such a sicko bet, but I love the jump ball analysis. It's not like you're flipping a coin here. There is some analysis behind this. Really, like, this feels like a nerfy type play, Amags, even though that one takes potentially a little bit longer. But let's transition to baseball, Amags. We're going in a couple of different ways, which we'll find out later the other way, but we're going to kind of support Logan Webb here today.
Going to support Logan Webb. And as you mentioned, I think previously or before we got on the show that the SportsLine pick aligns with this. So that's definitely good to see. And I think it really has to do with Logan Webb needing to be a stopper for a Giants team that certainly has playoff aspirations, wild card aspirations, being in the division with the Dodgers, but they have to win today. Otherwise, they're back-to-back 3-game sweeps for them, and they have to travel to New York to go play the Mets again, who just swept them in 3 games before this Pirates series, where now again they're potentially going to be swept. Logan Webb has to get deeper into this game. The 18.5 line for his outs is where it's set, and actually you have some juice a little bit to the over for him to pitch into that 7th inning, and that aligns right with my strikeout pick here. I'm going over 5.5 strikeouts. You can get this at MGM. I wanted to put this out because BetMGM, great partner here. This number is at MGM for Logan Webb strikeouts. It's about 50 cents worse on FanDuel right now, so make sure you can get that one at MGM. But it's just kind of about the fact that, first off, Logan Webb had been consistently over this number in a bunch of these starts earlier in the year, and then he had a start against Toronto and a start against the Mets. 2 opponents that are really not strikeout heavy, and especially Toronto. 1 strikeout in that 6 1/3. He pitched into the 7th inning there. So it's just about kind of bouncing back here after those 2 starts. You're still going to get the 5.5 number here, but in this matchup, actually with the Pirates, they've been one of the league's worst, even of late. We've been talking about the Pirates being better, even of late with some of their recent success, still near league worst against right-handed pitching for OPS, and they're near top 10 for the strikeout rate. They actually, when you look at Webb, they help him out a little bit in the way the splits work, where Webb is going to need some more righties to get these strikeouts. And the left side's been his weaker side, but the lefties that he has in this lineup, and Brian Reynolds and O'Neal Cruz, either strike out a lot or he's had a bunch of success against them previously for strikeouts. So I like the over 5.5 here for him to get a 6th one. Actually going to dabble in some of the upper levels for some plus odds as well here. See ya.
All right. PropStarz has a similar looking K prop, which we're going to hear about later in the show. He's got an NFL future and under on a running back that had a pretty good season last year, but a touchdown total that is a bit too high. We've got a lot going on, including Taft's PGA picks. And speaking of Taft's PGA picks and some of the outrights that we put out on the Best Bets show yesterday with me, Jason Sobel, Patrick McDonald, and EC. And oh, by the way, Patrick McDonald, for those early wedge watchers, admitted he's never seen an episode of Seinfeld in his life. And honestly, I don't think he's young enough to get away with that. Taft, you might be. Have you ever seen an episode of Seinfeld?
Well, as the chat likes to indicate, I'm a pretty young guy. Seinfeld is one of the greatest shows of all time. So we are one of the biggest Seinfeld fans. And as Jerry says, I got to stay hot. And that's what I'm going to do following my open bets from.
Oh, that is amazing. That is amazing. And we got Mackenzie Brooks, your counterpart in the chat. She said, never trust a kid in a quarter zip or with his top button buttoned. We are not trustworthy people here. Can I just tell you, Patrick McDonald, if you're watching, shame on you. You haven't seen a single Seinfeld episode. That is, it's just not appropriate. Let's go to the BetMGM promos. BetMGM players will receive an Any Sports Odds Boost token today. Just make a bet on any sport and make sure the boost is activated. Score extra winnings if your boosted wager wins only at BetMGM. All right, we got to get to Taft's pick. We also got to get to SportsLine pick. We got to get to our month. This is all fantastic, but we have a lot going on. We're going to cover it all right after this message from our partners.
Get ready.
Wait a second. I thought we were going tubing.
All 3 Sonic the Hedgehog movies and Knuckles are now streaming on Paramount Plus.
And everyone loves it.
Every adventure,
Just try to keep up.
every face-off,
This ends now.
and every moment that will have you saying,
Where have you been? My entire life!
It's showtime.
all 3 Sonic the Hedgehog movies and the entire Sonic universe are now streaming on Paramount Plus.
We are back on the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Taft, before we get to your golf plays, I do want to mention we have some synergy. Amags mentioned it with our SportsLine pick and with that Logan Webb pick. Matt Severance, he says Logan Webb to record a win at plus 110, and you heard the analysis from Amags, so certainly that filters in to this play as well. But we're kind of doubling up on Logan Webb with the strikeouts and also Logan Webb to record a win at plus 110. Again, that is the SportsLine pick. We'll get to the home run picks in just a second, but Logan, it's time to talk. I've got a Wyndham Championship 3-ball for tomorrow morning. Gave out all my best bets yesterday on the early wedge every Tuesday at 7 o'clock. You've got some bets for this morning.
See, you called him Logan, I think. And that might be where the disconnect. You said Logan, and I was like, is he talking about Logan Webb? So that might be where.
See, we're playing the looks like game when Taft is on. He looks like a Logan. And we have the Logan Webb play. So Taft, go ahead.
It was your turn, Sia. So I'm glad that you were able to fill in with yours. I got 3 Wyndham Championship props. I'm going to start with Denny McCarthy, top 20 at plus 275. You can get this at BetMGM, and it is significantly better value than any of the other books. Denny McCarthy is a top 20 machine and one of the most reliable players in the field this week in Greensboro. He's finished top 20 9 times in 2025, and that's one of the most on the PGA Tour this year. It's over 50% on the year, so I like his odds, especially at plus 275. He did it for 2 weeks in a row after the U.S. Open. However, he's coming off 2 missed cuts across the pond. That does not scare me away, though, because all it's doing is giving him better juice for this week. It's his first week back since the Open. He has his feet under him back on American soil. And what I like about Denny McCarthy, he's one of the best putters on tour, 9th in strokes gained putting. And on a shorter Sedgefield Country Club, that's going to be crucial this week. So if the putter can get hot like it has been all year, Denny McCarthy top 20 is one of the safest bets of the week.
All right, we got Denny McCarthy. What are the other plays? Not
I like
Logan, but Taft.
Yeah, Sam Stevens at top 5. You can get this at 11-1, which is great value for a guy who's coming off a 3rd place finish last week at the 3M Open. He has 3 top 3s on the year. We're just asking him to get top 5 this week. He had a 68 in the second round last week. That was his worst round of the week. So he's definitely been playing some of his best golf. He's got a great attitude and a great head on his shoulders right now, which is something you look for when picking a golfer. Sam Stevens is reliable, he's steady, and he's comfortably inside the FedEx Cup playoff line, which is big because he can play a little more stress-free than some of these other guys this week.
All right. And then finally, this is an interesting long shot that you've picked. And I will tell you, he's not anywhere on my card. But when I look at the number for Luke Clinton and I see 80-1, knowing his talent, I'm like, okay, I kind of get this pick. Talk to me about Luke Clinton.
Luke Clinton is one of my favorite young guys on tour. And I think he found something last week in Minnesota. He was flirting with the top 10 earlier in the week. He shot 3 over on the final day to put him out of contention. But before that, he was up there. And if he can put together 4 solid rounds of golf this week, I think that he could get his first PGA Tour win, which would just excel his career. At 80-1, this is incredible value. You just put $1 on it, you'd win 80. He had a solo 5th last year at the Wyndham Championship with a 3rd round of 62. He likes this golf course. It's one of the few courses that he's played twice in his young PGA Tour career. Get Luke Clinton while you can before his odds get a lot lower after a good few first rounds, which I'm predicting.
And I'll say this, Taft, I gave out Emiliano Grillo on Monday at the same number at 80-1, which I still love. It's 65-1 now. I still like it there. But these outright picks, we're gonna pepper these in on this show. They're not really given out for like recap screen purposes, although we'll certainly celebrate it. We'll have it on the early wedge recap screen, for example. But we don't want to hesitate to give out some of these long shots because we don't want an X next to the name. So the outrights, I just want everybody to know we're going to pepper them in here, but they're not going to be like your typical like recap stuff because we don't want to hesitate to give them out by having that be a hindrance. So just an FYI, I love the Luke Clinton play because of the value. Certainly like my Emiliano Grillo play as well, and more best bets on that early wedge show, which is in your feed. All right, prop stars, I got to give out a 3-ball, but let's get to you because you've got more baseball, which again, don't forget the 2:00 live stream on this SportsLine YouTube channel where we'll talk much more, but you've also got an NFL prop. I guess start us off with baseball and then head to the NFL.
Indeed, Sia. Yeah, we've got a K prop, a rare over that I like here. Brian Wu, over 5.5 strikeouts for the Mariners. Brian Wu having a fantastic season, made his first All-Star appearance, pitching really well. I also looked under the hood a bit at the strikeout metrics. You could argue that he's a positive regression candidate, and I like this matchup against the Athletics. The Athletics are striking out more than any team in baseball over the past 30 days. Looking at Wu's outs line set at 17.5, heavily juiced to the over, projected to go 6 innings. I think he has a great shot of racking up at least 6 strikeouts in the process. Then over to the NFL futures market. This is one of my favorite season-long props. It's fading James Cook, who, if you guys recall, I was backing big time last season, but he had a tremendous year with 16 rushing touchdowns. Previously, in his previous 34 games, he had just 4 rushing touchdowns. This line is set at 9.5. I would make this line between 6.5 and 7.5. This is a massive line. Last year, the Bills were one of the most efficient offenses in NFL history. I just do not see them sustaining that or replicating that success, even if they have a good year moving forward. I think they're going to score a lot less. There's going to be less touchdowns to go around. He also just has a slight frame. James Cook is 5'10", under 190 pounds. Meanwhile, we've got Josh Allen, who's obviously very good once they get into the red zone. You have Ray Davis as well, who weighs 30 pounds more. I think they want to utilize him more in the short area. So it's just going to be hard for James Cook to be quite as efficient. I really think last year, at least in the touchdown department, because touchdowns are very fluky, will go down as a significant outlier season for him. So I think double-digit touchdowns is a big ask. He's not getting a ton of looks within the 5-yard line, so he has to score a lot on big runs, and that, again, is just very difficult to replicate or sustain. So I think this is a great spot to fade James Cook, who I'm high on, who I like a lot, but I just think 10 rushing touchdowns is a very tall order for a guy who's not even the primary goal line back.
Yeah, 10 touchdowns is certainly a lot there. We have a follow-up question on that Mariners game, PropStarz. I don't think they provided the number, but somebody was asking Brian Wu to record the win, which I'm certain would be at plus money. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I prefer the strikeouts here. My model has a significant edge in the strikeout department. Not knowing the price, I'm speculating a little bit, but I do like the Mariners' chances to record the win, but I'm more comfortable backing him in the K department.
Okay. Big Cheesy says Cleveland team total over 4.5, Yankees team total over 4.5. Amags, any response to either of those? Certainly Yankees team total, I'm sure you looked at the very least.
I actually like the Cleveland one a little bit better against Kyle Freeland. Okay. I liked them in the first 5. I was actually looking to write that one up as well. First 5 -0.5. So I like the over 4.5 there for Cleveland. I'll reserve my opinion on the Yankees as they've brought me far too much pain of late.
Okay, we're going to get to the home run props in just a second, but let me get to my 3 ball before I forget here. We're going to go tomorrow morning. Man, these are not household names here. I'm going with Paul Peterson plus 180 over Stephen Fisk and Quade Cummins. So I think maybe some of you have heard of these guys because we've talked about Paul Peterson in particular on the early wedge, not so much Stephen Fisk or Quade Cummins. Again, this is a plus 183 ball. These 3 balls, especially that are in the plus department, are not full unit plays for me. I'm not telling you how to bet, but I'm just letting you know this is somewhere between half and 3/4 of a unit because I am getting that plus 180 return. It's the singular matchups, the head-to-heads, where those are pretty much a unit, if not more, for me. Again, the head-to-head matchups. Paul Peterson is a ball striker in the sense that he's so accurate off the tee. The approach can kind of come and go, although last week he wasn't good on approach, but the 5 or 6 other measured rounds prior to last week, he had gained on approach. So we're looking at literally the most accurate guy in the field. I'm not making that up. He's the most accurate guy in the field off the tee. He's not very long, but you don't need to be very long here. When you look at Quade Cummins and Stephen Fisk, they're not very accurate off the tee. Stephen Fisk, a little bit more accurate than Quade Cummins, but the overall game just isn't there for either of these guys. Paul Peterson missed the cut last week, but prior to that has really flashed in a couple of tournaments. I love the accuracy off the tee. I think the approach play is really underrated for him. And the short game, pretty underrated for Paul Peterson as well. Fisk and Cummins, they're just not there yet. You can make the argument that Peterson isn't either, but he profiles so well for this course that I'm willing to play the 3 ball at plus 180. So again, you need Paul Peterson over Stephen Fisk and Quade Cummins. This one starts tomorrow before the early edge, I think around 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, FYI. So I'll have another pick for the afternoon guys tomorrow on the early edge. Let's take a look. We're going to transition back to baseball. Let's take a look at the home run chart. And Amags, I'll get your reaction to this. Junior Caminero, he cashed in for us 2 days ago, plus 300 versus plus 400. Sean Murphy, some pretty good value here. Plus 350 says SportsLine and Inside the Lines, but plus 510 are the real odds. And then we go to Julio Rodriguez, plus 405 to plus 420. Some marginal value there. Amags, any of these names jumping out to you, and there are any other names to consider?
So just really quick, I wanted to look. Will Warren, only 2 of his home runs this year against right-handed batters, 2 of his 12. The other 10 were to lefties. So I would side with Caminero just in Yankee Stadium there, but I at least have to mention that split. The other 2, give me a second here if anyone else wants to weigh in. I want to look at one thing on Sean Murphy.
Okay. Why don't I go to another question? Jeff Stenberg, Taft, wants to know, he doesn't want to know if I'm on Michael Thorbjornsen because he thinks, and he's right, that I jinxed Michael Thorbjornsen last week. He wants to know if you like Michael Thorbjornsen this week.
I do. And I mentioned Luke Clanton, who's one of the young guys on tour. Michael Thorbjornsen is up there with him. At 23 years old, he has been near the top of the leaderboard at a lot of these tournaments that are around the same level as the Wyndham Championship. He had a bad week last week, missing the cut. But before that, he had a T14, T21. So I like, if he can maybe find something that he didn't have in Minnesota, I like him in Greensboro this week. He'd be a good top 10 pick, I'd say.
Yeah, I think the upside is there. I think the downside, I think he's one of those guys for a tournament like this where you do have to kind of be accurate off the tee. He's either going to pop or he's going to miss the cut again. I think the floor is low, but I think the ceiling is super high. So when you consider the fact, especially in DFS, Taft, where nobody's going to want to play him because he ejected so quickly last week, I think he's a really clever play, maybe in the outright department, but also potentially in DFS as well. Amags, what you got?
So I actually was just looking at if Sean Murphy, day game after night game, that kind of thing. Like if he was going to play, he didn't play yesterday, so he should be in there today. We should be pretty good there. KC makes for one of the best hitting environments. And I do think that you're probably going to get Angel Zerpa for at least a couple innings. We'll see what happens. But generally where Murphy would be hitting in the lineup, he's probably going to get that chance against that lefty. And Zerpa, 4 home runs in less than 25 innings to right-handed batters this year. So I like that spot for Sean Murphy.
Okay. Any other questions that anybody saw in the chat? Calvin, did you see any WNBA questions?
No, I didn't. Yeah, if anyone's got any, hit me up, but I haven't seen anything.
All right. And PropStarz, can I ask you one follow-up as it relates to the NFL? We saw the Dolphins lost another defensive back, I guess, yesterday in practice. He's out for the year. Correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm not trying to victory lap because of an injury, but one of your positions that I believe, and I don't remember if you put this in the Discord, but you certainly put it out on this show, was the Dolphins team total under. Can I just get your thoughts as it stands right now?
That is, in fact, my largest futures position, under 8.5 wins. It's since moved down to 7.5 wins. We tried to beat the news regarding Jalen Ramsey, Jonnu Smith being but yeah, this Dolphins team, this just looks like they're headed for a disaster. I think the locker room is lost, frankly. I wouldn't even be surprised if Tyreek Hill is moved prior to the start of the season at this point. But yeah, I just think the Dolphins might be in contention for the worst team in the NFL. We know with Tua, he's an injury away from potential year-ending injury. They have no depth. They had just probably the worst offseason in the NFL this year, in my opinion. So I think the Dolphins are in trouble.
Remember the comment that I'm about to say, because this is all going to come down on Mike McDaniel. It's not his fault. This team, especially with the unknown at the quarterback position and what they've done in free agency and in the draft over the last couple of years, it's just not. You can't just blame the head coach for some of this stuff. PropStarz, you agree with that sentiment?
I agree. I think Stephen Ross is a big part of the problem for Miami.
Big part of the problem. All right, before we get to the recap screen and get everybody out of here, Taft, you were kind of chuckling at something. Was there a lookalike thing in the chat that I missed?
No, Joe's asking what I bench, and I told him my driving distance in golf and my bench are the exact same number. Take with that how you want. Maybe if I'm back on the early edge soon, I'll give you that number.
Oh, that is amazing. What a tease. We love Logan for that. I'm kidding. We love Taft for that. Kimber's Pick said, you look like a Logan or a Connor. I would take that as a compliment. Looking good. The picks are good, and we appreciate you being on the show always. So thank you, Taft. Thank you, Calvin, PropStarz, Amags. Let's take a look at the recap screen before we get everybody out of here. And again, so much content coming your way with the 2 o'clock live stream and the 4 o'clock PGA live chat. I'm going with the 3-ball tomorrow. Paul Peterson plus 180 over Stephen Fisk and Quade Cummins. Then we go to Taft's pick. Denny McCarthy, top 20, plus 275. Sam Stevens, top 5, plus 1,100. And we got an outright winner. We've got 2 on this show this week. Luke Clanton, plus 8,000. And then, of course, I've got Emiliano Grillo at plus 8,000 from Monday. All the other outrights from the whole Early Wedge crew are on the Best Bets show. Liberty to score first at minus 118, says Calvin Wetzel. And then we go to Brian Wu over 5.5 Ks, minus 130. And James Cook under 9.5 rushing touchdowns at minus 110. Those two, courtesy PropStarz. Logan Webb over 5.5 Ks at minus 155, says Amags. And we got some synergy with the SportsLine pick. Logan Webb to record a win at plus 110. That one courtesy of Matt Severance. We got some home runs for you as well. Junior Caminero, Sean Murphy, Julio Rodriguez, the Inside the Lines and SportsLine crew stay super hot with these home runs. So tail, and you're probably going to cash long-term, short-term, all-term. CBS Sports Network today at noon, we've got a show, The Early Edge. And then Friday at noon, I'll be hosting that one, that Early Edge. And we've got the Early Wedge Friday coming up after that. So Friday at noon and Friday at 1, we've got back-to-back shows, The Early Edge and The Early Wedge. So much content. And I didn't even tell everybody, PropStarz, that we've got some special NFL shows coming up before the season comes around in terms of futures and division winners and things like that. We're doing that on the network, but we're going to do a special show and consolidate all those picks. So make sure you're subscribed to this channel. Tell your friends to subscribe to this channel as well, because there's going to be a lot going on between now and the start of NFL season. All right. We're going to see everybody at 2 o'clock. Taft, thank you again. Calvin, PropStarz, Amags, and of course, Ben on the 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s. Keep it locked into SportsLine today, folks. A lot coming your way. But for now, only for now, we rest our case.